Well, good afternoon and good evening, and welcome to Berklee Global Enrollment Outreach Paris. We're so excited to be delivering this second session called Taking Your Song from Start to Finish and featuring some incredible folks. So my name is Daniel Bussi, and I'm Associate Director of Global Enrollment Initiatives here at Berklee College of Music, and I have the privilege to be working and introduce to you two fantastic friends and colleagues. For starters, we have Guy from EMEP Paris College of Music. Hello, Guy. How you doing? EMEP is Berklee Global Partner School in Paris. So please feel free to check out the school and check out the Instagram profile and the website and everything that we're doing with EMEP to facilitate students coming to Berklee College of Music. And then it is with privilege that I can introduce to you Rodney Alejandro. How you doing, Rodney, today? Rodney is the chair of Berklee Songwriting Department. And we will be guiding you through this session, once again called Taking Your Song from Start to Finish. So without further ado, Rodney, please take it away. I'm just going to pass on the virtual mic to you.
Sure. Thank you, Daniel. Good to see you, Guy. Good to see everyone here today. Thanks for taking time out of your day to make the presentation today. And yeah, we're going to talk about writing songs. Hopefully, if any of you were here from the last session, we talked about various elements of songs, especially the chorus, what we can do to make them much stronger for whatever genre you're going to be writing songs for. So my first kind of thing here is I just want to say a little bit more about myself for those of you who are new. I'm Rodney Alejandro. I'm a songwriter, producer for many years here in the United States as well as abroad, internationally. I've done K-pop, I've done Latin, I've done Bulgarian pop, I've done quite a range of different song styles throughout my career. And most recently, I started teaching here at Berklee a couple of years ago, and now I'm the chair of the department where I oversee all the curriculum that the students are studying. I oversee the faculty, etc. And one of the big things we do here is just innovate our program to make sure that we are teaching not only the historical nature of music, but also what's current, and as well as empowering our students to, explore their originality moving into the music industry after Berklee, so that they could find their mark, find their success with their voice, with the type of songs that they write and those kinds of things. So we're really big on like experimentation and trying new things and those kinds of things, so that students can find, like I said, their own voice to be able to create their own careers. So we're here to talk songwriting. I just want to know, I'm going to open the chat here, and I just want to ask a question to get a feel for what we want to talk about as far as taking our songs from start to finish. So I want to ask the group, what's the number one, you name, what do you feel is the hardest part about starting to write a song? And just type there in the chat at what you feel is the hardest part about starting to write a song. Cool. Okay. And when we say, while everyone is thinking about that, when we say theme, we are saying like the overall concept for the idea, I would think. Hook. Okay, cool. Great one. Where do we start? Yeah. Lyrics, absolutely. And mind you, as you're thinking about this, everyone has a different start point. There's no right or wrong way to start a song. So the idea of if you are strong at melody and that's where you start, that's great. If you need words first, that's fine too. We all have our strengths and weaknesses. I tend to have to put my hands on an instrument before something comes to mind. So for me, I need to have an instrument in my hand to start a song. And if I don't have one, it's a little tough for me. All right. Global intention, you mean like universality, like something that's universal themed? That's a good one too. All right, so the next question I want to ask is, once you start an idea, what's the hard part about finishing it? Well, I'm sure we've all started a lot of song ideas, and then we feel like, oh, don't know where to go. We can't finish it for some reason. And what do you feel is holding you back from finishing your songs? Ah, finding other ideas as good as the first one. Yeah, that's the second verse syndrome that we usually call that. Yeah. Making sure it sticks to the theme. All right. Being satisfied. Yeah, being happy with what you've written. Correct. The lack of link between lyrics and melody. Ooh, I'd love to explore that one a little bit more. Ah, yeah, the old beat ourselves up over what we're writing because we feel like it's repetitive, which is a really good thing for songwriting. Repetition is very good. Corny or not deep enough. That's just a self-judgment. We're going to talk about that part as well. Glad you brought that up, Aida. All right, well, if everyone else thinks of other things that you feel hold you back, go ahead and type it in. So I'm going to kind of start at the beginning, right? I think sometimes I just want to start kind of at the end with something really first off. Writing songs is a practice. I know sometimes we might hear of other artists or songwriters, oh, the song just came to me and it just popped out. Yeah, that happens when you've been writing songs for a while, even if they've been bad. I've been songwriting for over 30 years and had all kinds of success, and I can count on my hands less than 5 times the song just popped out, like it wrote itself. Like the idea, the theme, the first idea and the second idea were solid, and the chorus was great. Over 30 years, less than 5 times that happened where it just popped out, right? Most of the time, it was like a portion of the song kind of came to mind, and I had to build it from there. So that is one thing I just want you all to one thing I want you to take away is that, don't be too hard on yourself if you don't like the idea at first, or you feel you're kind of caught in the middle of the idea. Songwriting is practice, right? And the more you practice at songwriting, the better you get at it and the faster it comes around to you. And then there's the parts where maybe you don't know exactly what's supposed to happen, like maybe, kind of creatively, then you got to fall back on your tools. So here at Berklee, we like to say there's no rules to songwriting. There's just tools, right? There's tools you can use to make yourself a better songwriter, to start with one idea and build that idea into, a full song idea. And we'll kind of explore some of those today as well. All right, so getting started with songs, a lot of times, it depends how you write. I was saying earlier, some people like to start with the melody. Some people like to have the lyric or the concept or the theme together. Some people need a beat, need a track going to be able to feel what the song is going to be. In whichever case this is, you need to determine really what's the purpose of the song, right? Are you trying to write a song that shares an emotional experience? Are you trying to write a song that makes people happy, right? Are you trying to write a song that can help comfort people in their sadness, right? And I say that because then that starts to determine quite a few things. Theme, it starts to determine concept, right? It starts to determine what my melody is going to be like. So starting out, I want to just have an idea. And even if it's like, oh, I just got this melody in my head. Okay, cool. This melody comes to your head. You start playing it, you start singing it. Then think about, how does it make you feel? Because however it makes you feel, it probably is going to make someone else feel the same way. So now you can start thinking about themes from that perspective. right? So the melody comes into your head. Maybe it feels happy. If you can describe it as happy, then maybe the lyric, the theme of that needs to have some kind of happy content, right? So the more we match the music to what the lyric is going to say. So again, if the music feels happy and the lyric feels happy, and you put those two together, you're starting to develop a really strong melody, right? That people can follow along to. Right. I was reading the last one there, Clement, from never falling into filling with lyrics. Yeah, we call those filler words. Yes, and that is the thing. You don't want to just put words in to put words in. So going back to how we start, a lot of times we teach what's called song seeds. One way to get into practice of writing songs and getting better at starting to write songs is to do a thing what we call song seeds. Song seeds are just little bits of ideas that help you draw on your creative output. So maybe you're riding the train, or maybe you are walking down the street by yourself and you just got something in your head. You're not necessarily going to write a whole song, but maybe an idea for a song. And maybe use your phone to either record the idea. I've got a million ideas recorded on my phone, or use your phone to write down the notes of what you're writing. Maybe a lyric comes out. Maybe a lyric comes out while you're walking down the street, and maybe it's just 2 lines, or maybe it's 4 lines. That's all you need. So practicing your creativity every day is important to make sure that you are just working on different things. Just see something down the street. Maybe you see a person dressed a certain way, and that idea comes to your head. That could be an idea for a song. Or maybe you see a particular piece of artwork and it strikes you in an interesting way. Write down those feelings. That's an idea for a song. Okay. So I want to roll back to what are some of the things holding us back from starting to write songs. Theme. Let's circle around theme. One way to work with theme, and I hope this annotations work, share screen as they've been working in the past. Okay. I want to share with you. Can y'all all see? Just give me some thumbs up if you can see my whiteboard here.
Yep.
Cool, great. So one thing I try to do when we're looking for themes and how we're going to write our songs, how we're going to come up with ideas, I tend to say, let's draw a circle in the middle here. Cool. So this is going to be my theme or my title or my concept. So we call this process kind of webbing or word spider. So the idea is someone in the chat just type a theme. What would be a theme for a song? Just give me an idea. Drop some ideas in there. Love. Okay. All right. That's a good one because that's a big coffee. Even better. I love coffee. Okay. So we're going to write coffee. See if I can write it here. I love this idea of something kind of really different. So let's just say, come on. Undo text. Okay. It's better just to draw it. Coffee. This handwriting is about the same as my handwriting in real life. So we know this is coffee. All right, so this is going to be our main concept or the main theme that we're going for our song. And then what we want to do is we want to draw out like 3 ideas around coffee. So in the box, I want you to think about coffee. Give me an interesting idea about coffee. What 3 ideas would you think of about coffee? Think about how it tastes. Think about how it looks. Energy. I like that one. We got energy here. Ooh, I like morning. It's a good one. Oh, these are all great. Yeah, lots of ideas. Energy. energy, cool. And then I'm going to draw another box over here. And we're going to draw, I like this one, sunshine, because it was bringing me to morning. This place. I got it. Sunshine. And then over here, I'm gonna look at the list here because food went by. Yeah, let's go with that, black. Some people like black coffee. Okay, so if we were to say coffee is a metaphor for what could coffee represent for humanity? Like, could it be that if we'd say coffee was representing love, okay, how would these words associate with love? So energy, right? So this is coffee, and it's also representing love. The idea, the overall theme is love, but the title of our song is coffee, and that's our theme kind of concept. So we don't really want to talk about love. We're going to talk about how coffee has a similar relationship to the way love makes us feel. Right. So what I do here is then I take this even further. So if we go energy into coffee, give me some lines, give me some words that associate with energy, and think about love energy. What is that? How does that come together? What are some words that go with the energy of love? Put there in the chat. We'll do the same for sunshine. Chill bumps, cool. Vibes, I like that too. So all of these are going to be here. I'm doing my best, y'all. All right, happiness, cool. Ooh, I saw one that said boost. That was cool. Boost of energy, cool. So if you get the idea here, right, we're creating opportunities to find lyrics that are going to go around our theme, right? So, I like this one too because it's just different from what we've been saying so far. We've been all warm and fuzzy for a while, but there's one here that said pain, right? There's energy and pain as well. All right, cool. If I can get this out of my way, go there again. All right, so as you can see, going on energy, there's different offshoots. Let's start with, let's go to sunshine, and we can say, what are some ideas around sunshine? We can go to warmth, right? Sunshine makes you kind of feel warm. And if we go along with the pain theme a little bit, you can get burned, right? From being in the sun too long, you can get sunburn, which then love can burn you sometimes too. Sorry, I have to laugh at that one, the last chat there. All right, holidays, sweet. I never thought of that. Cool. Okay, so what we're doing with this webbing is, by the way, this I'll just hold here. What we're doing with this webbing is we're trying to find more ideas around this theme of coffee representing love. The other thing we can do is just say, what other words can we put together to even make even a new title? So if we look at these words right now, anyone see any different combination of titles? And I'm going to give you an example. Right? Let's say you got, if I put this word, black, with happiness, right? And it could be black happiness, or it could be black vibes. This could be a new title for a song. right? And then you got to think about what does that represent, right? Or another one, you got this is boost. Burn. Trying to put together some words here. Black happiness. We got boost, burn, boost, burn, maybe. Black boost, if you like your coffee dark, right? Black sunshine. That's a great play as well. Great play right there, Black Sunshine. So now we're coming up with new titles where we originally started with black coffee. We started with coffee in general. Now we have a different thing, right? Now we're saying Black Sunshine. I really like that because of the opposite of those things, where sunshine is usually light and black it has to usually do with darkness, right? So yeah, it definitely has potential. So now what we would end up doing is start this process all over to find lyrics or words around Black Sunshine. So I use this webbing here to shoot off ideas, right? To find me new lyrics. So it isn't just obvious. Coffee, love, those are kind of like obvious words. Using this webbing and creating all these different words around these different topics, I come up with a different title, Black Sunshine. I probably wouldn't have thought of that by itself, right? So far so good. Give me some thumbs up if we follow along there with how to find a theme just from common words. Blackbird singing in the dead of night. Yeah, if you're gonna steal from the Beatles, right on. Okay, so what I'd like to do is I want to clear this all, and then like I said, we came up with a cool title, and I'm going to use some short writing here to represent our new title. Now here's a new title of our song, Black Sunshine. Cool. Now, what's this going to represent? This representing a relationship, love? Is it going to represent like maybe something that has to do with anxiety or depression? Does it have to do with just feeling, you know, even when the sun is out and everybody's happy, you feel the opposite? Or maybe it's a sad day and it's hot and you feel the opposite. Or maybe you like hanging out at nighttime and Black Sunshine is really talking about the moon. So you got to talk these through. So I would say moon, starting a new word web that has to do with this thing, right? Again and again and so forth. So as you keep doing this, you keep finding interesting words and you start creating phrases, kind of how like a couple of these are in here. You start creating phrases around, you know, the words are coming up, and you start developing lyric content, and then you continue to develop your theme. Right on. So now you do the same process with this title and see how many more words or phrases you can come up that you can now start using in your song. So that's one way to get started with songwriting. Any questions so far about webbing? This is called webbing. Webbing. Word webbing. All right. Lunar eclipse. I like that one because that can represent something as well, right? Something gets in the way. Kind of like that. All right. Got me thinking songwriting now. All right. Okay. So that's word webbing. So let's stop that. All right. So that's one way to start when it comes down to how do you start with lyrics. Now, how do you start with a melody? Let's say you have some words, but you don't necessarily have a melody, like what notes you're going to sing, what rhythms you're going to sing. One thing to think about is what are the words you do have. When we write songs, and this goes back to the answer of global, what was it? Global, use the right word, global intention, like the overall meaning and universality of an idea is when we write lyrics, we want the lyrics to be placed on the music like you would speak it. Meaning, if the word syllable, we say syllable in the United States, so we say syllable. If I were to say syllable, where I move the accent in a different place because I think it's musical, the person's going to hear syllable and they're not going to know what you mean by that. So the word has to be syllable. So when I put it with music, syllable, syllable. If I go syllable, syllable, I move the accent of the word so it sounds really strange to the listener. They're not going to know what you're trying to say. So one of the most important things when you're starting with lyrics is to be able to put them on the music as you would speak them naturally. And that's also a way to express yourself. Let's say the sentence is, I'm feeling good in the black sunshine. I'm feeling good in the black sunshine. Can you tell me, when I say this phrase, what words do you feel are highlighted? I'm feeling good in the black sunshine. Just type it in the text there in the chat. Tell me which words are being accented. I'm feeling good in the black sunshine. Yeah, you can just hear me say it. I'm feeling good in the black sunshine. So that is telling me I have some options where now I'm going to put it in a melody. I'm feeling good in the black sunshine. I'm feeling good. I could do that. I could do, I'm feeling good in the black sunshine. I'm feeling good in the black sunshine, right? I got to find the place to put the lyric, and then you decide which words I'm going to extend musically, right, to give me some kind of catch. So if I'm feeling good in the black sunshine, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good in the black sunshine, right? I just made a little hook out of good because it's long. And it's naturally accented as well when I say the phrase, I'm feeling good in the black sunshine. So now I'm thinking, oh, in that sentence, musically, I need to do something special on good and probably something special with black sunshine, since that's my title, right? Does that make it, is that, did y'all see what I did there? Could you understand that? Now, depending on your language, if you're writing in English, you're writing in French or some other language, accents work differently. So when you speak your phrase, let's say you write a lyric and it's in French. I wish I could speak French, but I don't. When you say that in French, think about the pace at what you're saying it. And then see how you could put a metronome together, even before you choose notes. Put a metronome together and then say that same phrase. That's going to help you decide the rhythm that that phrase should be in. Right? So I'm going back to, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good in the black sunshine. I'm feeling good in the black sunshine. That feels very laid back and very relaxed. Feeling good in the black sunshine. Just that phrase alone makes me feel like I'm on the beach. I'm very relaxed. If I say it fast, I'm feeling good in the black sunshine. I'm feeling good in the black sunshine. It feels a bit more exciting, right? Less relaxed. So you decide how you want to place those lyrics on the beat, right? So that you can start developing your melodic ideas in your songs. So that's starting with lyrics and finding concepts. We just talked about, okay, cool, I have some lyric ideas. Now I can put it on in a timing and start with the music. But what if you start with the music first on this side? Okay. Any questions so far? And before I get started on music on that side? All right. So when you're starting with the music, sometimes a melody comes to your head. That just came to my head right now. I would sing that over. Let's say I chose that melody to work with. Do you know what I do? I just start repeating that phrase over and over until I start to feel words coming into place. And sometimes I just use various vowel sounds to just as placeholders. So like do 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 do. So and purposely I might change the practice when I'm writing the lyric or writing the melody, sorry. I might change the sounds. Right now I'm going do 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 do. I might go hey yeah 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 just to see which syllables feel good. E e d d d d d d. Oh. Right now I'm liking the yeah, 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 yeah. Okay. So say that everything's all right. Yeah, that just came straight. I don't know if that makes any sense, if that's deep or nothing, but at least it started me with lyrics from a melody. So say that everything's all right. Yeah. And told me you won't last time. And I will know that it's no ba-da-da, ba-da-ba, ba-da-ba, ba-da-ba. And I'm just like gonna repeat that over and over to myself as I start feeling words come into place. Now, I'm not gonna be married to the words, but I'm just using the words to help me make this melody work, right? Say that everything's all right, yeah. And show me you don't want my time. And gonna da 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 da, but da 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 da. Cool. Now, I don't know if that's good, great, bad, or whatever. I just know that I just started the process of writing the song. And if I was just using that idea, now I can start to develop it. I can start to develop it around making lyrics. I can start developing it around making melodic phrases and making sure as it starts moving along, I'm getting ideas coming through. There's a gray area where when makeup phrases feel better than well-written lines. Is there, if you can rephrase that, I'd be happy to answer that, Gonzalo, just so I could have clarity on what you're asking there. So the idea around, starting with melody. The other idea is that like in America, sometimes we have what's called nursery rhymes, like twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder where you are. So a phrase like that could be helpful in starting a song, right? Dun, 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 and not using that interval, but I'm gonna go dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. So it's a twinkle, twinkle, little star. If I use those words in a different rhythm, I'm going to start to develop a new melody. Tinkle, tinkle, a little R. That's it. Go wonder, wonder, where you are. That's a doo 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 doo. So doo 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 doo. And when you go, I don't know. And when you don't say oh nigga, so they don't know, right? I'm just messing around. I started with the twinkle twinkle little star words, played it in different rhythm, started using different notes to start coming up with a different melody. I use these techniques when I'm in a session and I've got nowhere to go. Like nothing is coming out. I'll take some old nursery rhyme melodies and rephrase them to start creating new melodies and just to get a vibe going. And typically the song starts to come for me after that. I just need to get a spark. So that's kind of starting your songs from a lyrical point of view and starting your songs from a musical point of view. Okay, any questions so far? Silo, I think you had a question there, so I wanted to see if I was answering it. Can you let me, where's this? Put this here. Cool. Okay. Oh, did we come back? All right. So So here's some songwriting tips and tips and tricks to get through your song. One of the most important things that we talk about in songwriting is song structure and song sections. So song structure is the organization of different song sections, like your verse and your chorus and your pre-chorus and your bridge, that you piece them together to make an entire song structure, right? So the song sections are like puzzle pieces connected together to carry the listener from the beginning, middle, and end of the song. Now, songs have changed over the years. There's new songs out right now that have no second verse. So for those of you who are worried about like, oh, I don't know if I got a good second idea, there's songs coming out with no second verse. There's a song called Sunroof that has no second verse. I'll play some songs here in a minute. All right. So when you are writing your first ideas for a song, you have to you have to kind of feel it out and decide what's it going to be. And there's three kind of major song forms. One is called the 12-bar blues or 12-bar form. The other one's called verse refrain and a verse chorus. So I'm going to play a typical blues form song. For some of you, this might sound familiar. Some of you, this is what it is. Oh, I got to create a share sound. And I'll type the song that I'm playing in the box for reference. And the biggest thing is that it's that harmonic change from 1 to 4, 5, 4, 1, right? That's our typical blues. Modern day blues for pop songs is kind of evolved, right? If we go back to the 80s with the blues harmonic changes of 1, 4, 5, but in more an elongated fashion. It's just not married to 12 bars anymore. And then most recently, which was a pretty big hit using the blues form, is the Jonas Brothers. Oh, let me type that last song. Kiss by Prince. And then the next one is going to be this one. All that to say, the blues is not dead. It might feel like an old form, but it's still being used today in pop music in many, many ways, right? There's What a Man Got to Do is a recent hit by the Jonas Brothers. And again, they're just using 1-4-5, just like you would in a blues tune. Okay. Any questions so far? And it's changed. It's not always, it doesn't always have to be exactly 12 bars. We got it in a 16 bar form. We have it in an 8-bar form. When you're moving from that 1 chord to the 4 chord and back, or 1 to the 5 chord, 4 chord and back, that's just kind of borrowing from the blues form. Okay, the next form we kind of look at is called verse refrain. Verse refrain is another older form of songs that came from kind of movie times and Broadway and jazz, where you have a verse, and at the end of the verse, there is the main idea of the song, the main theme of the song. And then that verse repeats again, and then the main theme of the song is at the end. So even though it's an old-timey kind of phrase, it's not being used. So what I want to show you is how this is verse refrain is used in modern day era. So I'm gonna run this forward for a second. So the big idea about verse refrain is that the title of the song, or the main idea of the song, is either in the last line of the verse or the first line of the verse. And that's what we call a verse refrain. And then it just continues to repeat at that particular place. So I want to play a song called this. At the end of every verse, you were hearing bang, bang, bang. That's the main idea of the song in repetition at the end of each verse. That's what we call verse refrain. Here's another one. where there's not really a verse chorus song, even though it sounds like she goes, if I were a boy, really high, and it sounds like a chorus, it's still a verse. She's just singing the same melody up an octave. So this particular song, she has "If I Were a Boy" starting at the beginning of every single verse. So that's what we call a verse refrain. And another popular verse refrain. All right, so hopefully we've all heard that song around Christmas time, whether you like it or not. It's a verse refrain with "All I Want for Christmas" at the end of each verse. And then melodically speaking, in a verse refrain, it's important that the melody is the same in the verses. And this is what helps people remember songs. So I think when someone put in there about too much repetition, this is where repetition works to your favor. The melody is the same in every single verse, lyrics a little different, and then we hear that title line at the end of each verse all the time. That is what helps people remember songs, right? That repetition is what helps them glue to the song. You can also have a verse refrain where the song is at the beginning of the verse and at the end of the verse. Think of "Million Reasons" from Lady Gaga, and that's what you'll hear. Okay. The last form we want to look at is called verse chorus. A verse chorus form is where it's a little bit different. You're telling me all the story in the verses, but you don't tell me the title like you do in verse refrain. You save that title for the chorus section that tells everybody this is what the song's about. And typically in the chorus, you don't have a lot of new information. You use a lot of repetition so you can plant the title, so you can continue to repeat it and let people know what's important. And that's what we get verse chorus. We hear verses and then we move right into a chorus. So a song like that is going to be like this. Here we go. Verse chorus forms is deciding how are you going to use your title. So we were talking about Black Sunshine. Are we going to use that as a chorus? And in that case, maybe it's going to be like we talked about in the last session where, okay, Black Sunshine is our title. I'm going to use it 4 times in the chorus. So I'm going to establish a groove, and then I'm going to come in with, I feel good in the black, I feel good in the black sunshine. I feel good in the black sunshine. I feel good in the black sunshine. I feel good, good, good in the black sunshine. So that's me using the title 4 times with repetition. Now that would be just my chorus, right? And then I'm going to give me some details in the verse. Now the verse is going to talk about what Black Sunshine means. What is it representing? Who's involved? What's the drama, et cetera, et cetera. And then I get to the chorus and I'm just hearing that theme over and over and over, right? I don't need to put a lot more information in the chorus. So this is what a verse chorus does. Now, each one of these forms comes with combinations or what we call blends or hybrids, where I can add other sections. So most common in verse chorus is a thing called a pre-chorus. Before we get to the chorus, we start to hear something building momentum to get to the chorus. So I'm going to play good old Daft Punk here. So we heard an 8-bar verse with very short melodic phrases. We had an 8-bar verse with longer phrase, higher pitches. That became our pre-chorus because it was building momentum to the chorus. And then we got back to the chorus and you can hear the let's get all night to get fun. We just heard the repetition of get lucky, get lucky, get lucky through the whole chorus. Right on? Yeah, interludes are fine. It depends where you have them, right? So like this particular song just coming off after the chorus, there's a little break. And we move back into the song. Some songs like to put a short interlude between verses if the verses are back to back, right? So interludes are really cool ways to either when you need more time or when you do have a very complex lyric, you put in an interlude to give the person, the listener, opportunity to understand what you just said before starting the new section. Interludes are great. All right. Ooh, we're out of time. So now that we know the sections, now we got to understand how we use these sections. Okay. So when you have a verse, your verse is for setting up the mood of the song. If I know what my theme is, if I've figured out a chorus theme, then I got to decide, okay, how am I going to introduce this theme without giving it away at the verse? So the verse sets up the mood for the songs, gives you details lyrically, who's involved. Is it me and you? Is it me and everybody? Is it them over there? Is it us? Who's involved in the story? It gives you lyrical details as to what happened, right? Or it gives you lyrical details of as to when something is happening. And then the verse, we have this thing called resolved or unresolved, meaning the verse, at the end of the verse, does it feel like you finished the story, or does it feel like I'm ready to hear the next section? Okay. Either one of those can happen in a verse. In a pre-chorus, I want to play another song that has a short pre-chorus, which is this one. Now, because we all probably listen to music, we feel like we're ready for something to change now because we've heard the same thing in a row for 8 bars. So that's, but the verse itself is finished. The reason we're ready to move to the next section is because we had enough for the verse. So this is what we call the resolved verse. I'm ready. I'm done. I'm ready to move on to the next section. All right. So let me back this up. We're going to move into the pre-chorus. If I stop the song there, it feels like totally incomplete. We want the next section to come, right? If Bruno would have released a song and ended it right there, we'd have been like, what is going on? The song's awful because we didn't get our satisfaction yet. The pre-chorus, that's what it does. It's a shift in tonal center. It's a shift in energy. You're usually building up to the chorus. And when you leave it where it's like unresolved, this is what we called unresolved, meaning you're expecting the next section to come. That's when your chorus is working, your pre-chorus is working. Now, when the chorus hits, we feel satisfied. And now we've, oh yeah, of course. So I'm gonna back this up. Right? So the idea that the chorus is the theme, Locked Out of Heaven. Maybe he came up with the idea, hey, I got this song idea called Locked Out of Heaven. They're like, yeah, what's it going to be about? I don't know. We'll figure it out. But we learn what the song is, what he means by Locked Out of Heaven when we hear the verses. That's where he tells us the story, not in the chorus. In the chorus, he's just telling us the same phrase. I always feel like I'm locked out of heaven for too long, long, long. It always feels like I'm locked out of heaven for too long, long, long. That's the chorus. That's the repetition. We hear the title multiple times, right? That helps with people remembering it. The next section that we use a lot in songs is called post-chorus. And the post-chorus is a section of music that is on repetition of just the main title idea or concept of the song to add like another chorus energy to your song. And then lastly, the bridge. It should have a definitely change tonal, key, color, musically speaking, give you new details about the song you maybe didn't get in the verses. And a lot of times it's talking about the opposite information. So let's say your song is about, okay, Bruno Mars. There is a bridge, but let's hear where this bridge goes. Oh, let's go. All right. So what I'm pointing out is what's important is, as much as writing lyric and melody, having these song sections connected in the proper way is what makes your song feel, when it's played for other people, they understand it more, which causes them to like it because it's easier to follow, right? So this is one thing we stress here at Berklee, is working with your song forms so that it is understood where you're going. If you're telling me the story in the verse, great. Then give me the main idea in the chorus, and that's it. Don't give me any more. And then in the next verse, that's where you give me more details. And then you give me that chorus again. And then if you're going to do a bridge, that's cool. Give me some new information there as well. So the chorus is for making sure your main idea, your theme, is repeated and the listener can remember what it is. And then the verse is for tell me the details of your story. Now, songs can have as many verses as you want. How detailed do you want to be about your idea? That's up to you. But most songs center around 2 verses, the chorus that's the same and repeats every time it plays, maybe a post-chorus, right? And so the idea is that when you're formulating your ideas from how you start to where you want to finish, do you have these pieces in place? And one thing I like to do is I'll read the verse and then I'll do the chorus. Does that make sense? Oh, does this verse lead me to the chorus melodic, lyrically? Great. Then I do the second verse. Play the second verse. Is it telling me I'm going straight to the chorus? Just because it's coming after doesn't necessarily mean I'm getting there. So I like to read the lyric. And I read maybe 2 lines at a time and then say the chorus. Does it make sense? Then read the next 2 lines to the chorus. Does that make sense? So that's what I keep asking myself when it happens lyrically. Okay. I am going to now open up for questions on song forms, on how to get started with songs, writer's block, whatever that might be that you have. And I'll share with you some tips at Berklee that we use to get through those things. That did not change, did it? Okay, there it is. Any questions on coming through with songwriting, how to get started, how to know when you're done? Yeah, turn on your video. That'd be great when you want to ask your questions. Let's have a conversation. Great. All right, I'm in here. So now I can see you. So open up your video and just let's ask a question.
Well, I just want to let everybody know that I give you the privilege of starting your video and unmute yourself. So feel free to come on screen. We'd love to hear your questions and ideas.
Let's see your faces.
Hi.
Hi, Matisse.
So yeah, I was wondering, is it a problem if your sentences, like for the lyrics, are too long? Because I felt like I write a lot of lyrics, but I never end up like any song I'm kind of writing, because I feel like maybe sometimes my sentences are too long, like it's harder, I think maybe. And like you can see in a lot of, I don't know, I don't have an example in mind right now, but like most of songs have like little sentences, and it looks like it's easier. I don't know.
Yeah. So 2 tricks I can help you with. Yes, shorter phrases are better.
Mm-hmm.
So here's an example. Have you had a friend come to you and they're kind of sharing their story and they start talking and they never stop?
Yeah.
You just talk for like 5 minutes, right?
Mm.
And then you go, wait a minute, what happened? Because even though they told you everything in 5 minutes, they didn't give you time to understand it.
Yeah, okay.
Right? So in music, a really long sentence, a really long lyric line is problematic because it's not giving the listener enough time to listen to what you said and then take in the new information.
Yeah.
So one of the tricks you can do is if you have a really long line, just find the middle point and break it in 2.
Okay. Yeah,
And
but
so, go ahead.
no, but if I do that, like my verse is going to be too long, like way too long.
Then part two.
Okay.
Right? What you start to do is let's say you started with 4 really long lines, and then it turned into 8,
Mm-hmm.
eight relatively short lines, right? What you can do is you go through and say, do I really need that word?
Mm.
Right? Because now you're going to need space, right? It's okay to have a long verse as long as the space of the lyric is enough that the listener follows along,
Mm-hmm.
right? Of course, it can get too long, but the idea is now you go through and start editing. Do I really need that word? Does that word really need to be there? Can that be a space? Can I take out the I and it's understood that I'm singing? Can I, you know what I mean? So you start doing some editing that way, and you compare that down either back to 4 lines for just phrases that are like right at the idea you want it to be with no extra, or you might come out with 6 lines, which is fine too, right?
Okay.
But the idea is you got to pace the information that you're giving to the listener.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
This is a good one. It's always bad. And in music, I always say it's always good to have too much.
Yeah.
Too
Right.
little. So
Yeah.
you feel your lines are long, then it's just a practice of, okay, let me cut that in half. Cool. Now that I cut that in half, how many words can I take away and still have the powerful meaning?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay.
Cool. Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah, sure. Bernae, is that said that right? No, I'm gonna try.
More or less, yeah. Bernat.
Bernat.
Cool. Yeah, I can hear you. It was that sometimes I start writing with the chords, and I happen to find some interesting chords, interesting progressions, but then like I would relate that chords to a feeling and so to some lyrics, but it would be hard for me to link then all of that with a melody that would make sense. And I just sometimes really have this struggle of putting everything together and that it actually makes sense, that it's not just the idea, but that it actually fits into the song. And I don't know how to solve that.
So you're trying to resolve the melody with the lyrics that you've coming up with versus the chords?
Yeah, it's a weird process, but it's how it goes sometimes.
So say you start with the chords, is that right?
Yeah.
And then you come up with lyrics or melody after that?
I would probably come up with the lyrics first, because I would have like the idea with the chords. They would give me the idea of the feeling, the I don't know, the how they make me feel, and that then I would write about it. But I really struggle on putting it back in, because
with the melody.
Yeah, because I would feel like by writing the lyrics, they would give me a melody, like different melodies, but then they probably wouldn't stick back to the chords that I had already made.
Right on. So one important thing to kind of check out is writing with the chords, right? Gives you a feeling. You start writing some lyrics because you're expressing those feelings with words. Great. Now you got to find, you can't marry, just because you have the lyrics doesn't mean that's going to be the melody. The important thing is to find the musical melody that matches the emotion of the lyric. And so when you play a chord, if you sing on the root chord of the chord, it's going to have one sound, right? So let's say you have a minor chord, right? Minor's darker,
Yeah.
right? If you play on the root, if the melody's on the root of that chord, it's not going to feel too out of place. You still feel some sadness, some darkness, but not really far out of place, right? If you sing on the third of that chord, if you start the melody on the third, now you start to feel a little bit of tension, different type of feeling. You don't feel like it quite belongs, but you're not completely out of the pocket, right? If you sing on the 9 of that chord, or on the 4 of that chord, that minor chord, now you really feel like you do not belong, right? So if your lyrical intention is, oh, I've got this minor chord, it makes me feel like I'm sad because I don't belong, then I'm probably not going to sing on the root or the 5th or the 3rd. I'm probably going to sing on the 2nd or the 4th. So music scale degrees have an emotional feeling just like the chord does. So when you play the chord and you're matching a lyric to it, Now just think about, okay, what melody note of this chord, what scale from this chord matches the feeling of the lyric? And that's a good starting point to match your melody back into the chord.
Right.
Okay. So
Yeah.
one,
I will try to move the height of the melody probably.
yeah, and one in major or minor, 1, 3, and 5. So when you play the chord, the root, the third, or the fifth are all part of the chord. So you feel like it belongs, right? And each one has a different feeling. And if the second scale degree, fourth scale degree, sixth scale degree, seventh scale degree do not belong in the basic chord. So then it's going to give you a feeling of not feeling connected to the chord, which is what and that's what you try to understand about the lyric you're writing. Am I supposed to feel connected or supposed to feel like kind of disconnected? And then that's your choice, right? Just try those a couple of times and see how it feels.
I'll do that.
Thank you, Bernard. Who has another question? Sultan.
Yes. First, from the last session, after the last session, I had a coffee the other day and I wrote a song. So I decided to write a blues song. Then it happened so quick and I got a song, 12 lines. Then it doesn't look like as a blues. So I ended up writing a 12 lines, the lyrics, but then I need to put the melody for the blues. I need to find where are my silence, where are the chords that I need to be silent. And okay, the 12 lines, it cannot be repeated the same. So it would be sections. So I ended up having 3 sections. The first 3 lines, 1 section, then the next 6 lines can be repeated, and then the last 3 lines. But it didn't come up to be blues. It didn't sound with the lyrics. So I just want to know how can we translate? How can we decide, like, if we want a song, a blues song, on the lyrics part, and then did you get me?
Yeah. So I think what you have to do, I mean, I haven't heard the song and I'm not quite sure where you're going and what type of blues you're writing, but most times in blues, what happens is you hear the first line, then the line repeats, and then you get an extra line at the end that gives you some more information. And then the section starts all over again, right? You give me a new line. Merry Christmas, baby, you sure did good to me. Oh, Merry Christmas, baby, you sure good been to me. 3 lines. Now I'm going to start all over, right? Again, the line repeat. You give me the first line, then it repeats, and then you give me a second line. And you can have many sections. It doesn't have to be just 2. You can, in blues, you can have 4 or 5 sections as long as the lyric is continuing to develop the story. So I haven't heard your song, so it's hard for me to tell exactly what particular points to make. But when you're formulating blues, make sure you have that 12 bars that you're playing, and then you hear you hear 3 lines of lyric over a blues cycle of 12 bars.
Yeah. The point that I'm trying to highlight, I started with writing a blues song, but I ended up writing a different song.
Got it. Okay.
With no fall. And the point is, from the blues, I ended up writing something new, which has 3 sections, 1 section that repeats, and you have the first and the last section are separated. So A, B, B, C, if we can say.
Okay. And what are you trying to get to now?
Now I'm trying to get now the chords. I'm not like first of all I decided to have a blues minor. And then when I put the chords, doesn't sound the song is a happy song. I put the chords just to have a contrast to the words, to make attention a bit, to add attention to the song. But then it doesn't sound well. So I try to change the chords to adapt to the melody. Still not the right one, but I ended up writing non-blues song at all.
So it's not a blues then, right? That's what you're saying.
Yeah.
Got it. So I think in that case, you know, you definitely want to follow the melody with the chords. And it doesn't always mean that it's going to be, it doesn't have to be perfect either. You could have a 2-beat, you can have a 1 chord, 4 chord for 2 beats, then back to 1 chord, right? So as you sing the melody, when you're playing the chords, think about where the change is. When you sing the melody, even without chords, just sing it and then see where you feel there needs to be a chord change, right? Because you might use the first chord of the first section, you might use it for 4 bars, maybe 6 bars. And then the last 2 bars could be 2 different chords, but you have to feel that in the melody. So I would try that first to find your chords. And then again, I like what you said, you tried minor against a happier melody and it didn't seem to click. So automatically you're going to go to major, right? And so go straight to major and make sure that the feel of the song matches the feel of the lyric first. And even I always sometimes do just find 1 chord and go, because most songs can be around a pentatonic scale or some kind of chord scale that's recognizable. So I would just hold the chord and sing the melody. Just sing the melody. Hold the same chord. I know it's going to feel weird, right? But when you feel where you're playing that 1 chord and you sing the melody, when you feel there needs to be a change, then that's the lyric where you create a new chord. And then I usually go to the 5 chord and just hold the 5 chord until I need to change again, and then go back to the 1. So these are just basic ways to kind of move faster into getting like, oh, okay, instead of 5, I'm gonna have a 2 chord. So I'm gonna go 1 chord, then 2 chord, and then, you know, and I'm finding different chords as I formulate this melody. I like the idea that you said you're trying different song sections in a different form. I think that's really cool. But sometimes we need to kind of, really listen to the melody, very simple on the guitar, or the chords, wherever you're playing on piano, until you get the chords you want.
All right.
So
Well, one
that's
last point, if I can. Just when you write the melody, and at the end, I would choose the chords from the melody. Is that the right way? Could it
yes.
be the right way? Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Ida, I think I said that right.
Yeah, perfect. Hi. So my question is, let's say I have my song, I have the structure, I have my verse, my pre-chorus, and my chorus. But then now I need to choose the right set of instruments that would dress up my song, as a matter of of saying. So that would be like, what kind of instruments would I have to choose, and then how would I use them to make the song like a progression into my song?
Sure. For me, we teach arranging here at Berklee that the melody tells you everything. Right?
Okay.
The melody going to tell you what extra parts are going to play to support the melody. Because in the end, it's not just, oh, I'm going to play some music over here. It's, you know, whatever you play extra to the melody should have emotion and that supports the idea of the song, the theme, the lyric, and the melody, right? Any of those parts that play. Now, which instruments are those are going to be? That is really up to you in deciding, what am I trying to create here? Am I trying to create like a folk song where I'm not going to use any synthesizers or anything like that? It's going to be all organic and kind of cool. Then that's up to you. Is it going to be a dance song? Then yeah, I'm going to use a drum machine. I'm going to use a lot of synthesizers, but the process is still the same. What are those instruments going to play to help the melody? Not just because they're cool, right? So, and if you can sing your melody, then you can go, this is my melody, and I've got like a, I don't know, a cello over there. Can you play this part, da 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 da, while I sing ba da da, right? And then you try that out and see if they fit together. I always say, if you can sing and hum, you can arrange. So if you know your melody and you can hear other things around it, then what you hear around it, you can put that on other instruments.
All right.
Yeah, cool.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Lillian, go ahead.
Can you hear me? Yeah. I'd like to know how you go through harmonizing a melody.
Yeah, absolutely. Harmonizing melodies, one of my funnest things because it has to do with theory and like chords. So a lot of times is I play the chord. I find out where the melody is. It's either starting on the 1, the 3, the 5, could be starting on the 7, flat 7, wherever it's starting. I then just start finding, using triads. So if I have a melody that's starting, let's say I have a major chord and my first note of that melody is on the 5th of the chord, then I start thinking with triads. Well, third below that's going to be an E, right? A third above that is going to be a B, but it might clash with the tone of the chord, so I might move it up to a C. So I start with there first. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
And what if the chords are getting quite complicated, like a half diminished and altered chord?
Love it.
I'm having trouble actually harmonizing a chorus on a song, and there's quite complex chords.
Yeah, you have a half diminished chord, or you have a augmented chord, those kinds of things that have really strange structures. What you tend to do is find what we call like through tones. Those chords are not chords that you sit on for a really long time. They're like passing chords, right? Maybe the augmented chord you can sit on for a little bit, but usually a diminished chord is setting you up for something else. So I tend to think, okay, what's the chord I'm coming from before the diminished chord, and what's the chord I'm going to after the diminished chord? And then I find common tones between all 3 of those chords. And I make that part of what threads through the diminished tones. Right? Now, I also have done it where the singer will sing the exact tones of the diminished chord. So whatever works on the piano or guitar as a diminished chord will work with voice too. The key to like complex chords is it has to be like super in tune, or else it kind of then not aligns well and become very unpleasant at that point.
And is there any interval between the 2 voices that you would avoid, or?
No, I believe like Jacob Collier, there's no such thing as a bad interval. It's just how you sing it, right? If I have a major chord and I want to sing the tritone, the F sharp, like if I'm on a C chord and I want to sing F sharp, I can sing it. I just gotta have good conviction. And if I put it with a B major, or sorry, if I have a C chord and I have a B, which is the 7, I put in the F sharp and maybe the D, it'll work. It'll sound weird, but that's what, if I'm going for weird, that's gonna work. It's not pop, right? I wouldn't necessarily put an F sharp over a C chord in a pop song, but if I'm using complex harmony, that'd be okay. It just has to be in tune. Yeah.
Thank you.
Sure.
Well, Rodney, I hate to interrupt, but I want to really thank our audience for, first of all, being here, and second, engaging and asking all these fantastic questions. I think, it's been one of the best sessions I ever attended. I was there on the side taking notes. I'm a songwriter myself, so, it's so great to hear from you and to see these folks here. But yeah, I think we're hitting the time that we have available for this session. So unfortunately, we're just gonna have to wrap this up. But I would like to remind everybody that we are coming to Paris. So we're just gonna move everything that has happened in the first session and everything that has happened in today's sessions to an in-person mode. You have to come see us in Paris. You will find more details on both Berklee College of Music and EMEP's website about the visit. So make sure to mark your calendar and make sure to come meet us there in person. Rodney will be there. Once again, I'd like to thank EMEP Paris College of Music for making this series possible and for hosting us in Paris. Thank you, EMEP, and thank you, Guy, for being here. I would like
thanks to you.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much, Daniel. Thanks to you, and thanks to you, Rodney. I took notes.
Yeah, it was a fantastic session. It was incredible.
It was very interesting.
I'm looking forward to being there.
Looking forward to meet you in 10 days or so, I guess.
Absolutely.
Same here. And Rodney, congratulations again on such a fantastic session. I mean, even the tune that you selected, every single one was completely on spot.
Oh, thanks.
Right.
So yeah, thank you again for being here. As a reminder to all of you, please follow Berklee Global on Instagram if you can to see the schedule of all the upcoming in-person and online events. Please follow IMEP Paris College of Music on Instagram, as well as Rodney Alejandro, so that you'll know where we are at any time in the world. Once again, thank you and keep in touch.
Thank you. Merci to everyone.
Merci beaucoup. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.